Sairam. We will now have our guest speakers, Brother Greg and Rani Slee, who are a husband and wife dynamic duo who truly live their lives with Swami's teachings. And I think anyone who knows them personally can agree with me. They are a wonderful couple, and they have hosted the Sathya Sai Center of Chatsworth from their house for the last 19 years. Let me read their bio. Swarupa Rani has grown up knowing Swami since the age of 4 and went through Swami's Balvikas program as well. Not only has she served as a Sevadal for Swami's 60th birthday celebration, she was fortunate to also have attended Swami's Women's College in Ananthapur, where Swami personally selected her to be in the first nurses batch for the specialty hospital. She is currently the president of the Sri Sathya Sai Center of Chatsworth, where her and her husband Greg have been running the center from their home for the last 19 years. Greg Slee is currently the Region 8 Devotional Coordinator for the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization and also heads the International Sathya Sai Education Publications Subcommittee, which has just completed their first book, The Essence of World Peace. This book helps teachers build peace in the classroom using Sathya Sai education in human value teachings methods. He has served in various roles in the SSSIO, including running the center from his home, the Chatsworth Sai Center, along with his wife, Rani. And Swami has guided Greg through a dream to get married in India and bless the marriage to Swarupa Rani. He has made many trips to Prashanthi Nilayam to be in the divine presence, and his many experiences have helped him realize that transformation is the path and the goal. So we want to wish a warm welcome to Swarupa Rani and Greg Slee.
Om Shri Sai Ram. We offer our humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our dear Lord, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sai Ram. Wow, this is incredible to be here with you guys. This feels like the epicenter of the Sai organization. Just fantastic. And I must say, and we're thrilled and we're grateful for it. Gives us a chance, of course, to remember Baba all together and remember, which is a sadhana in and of itself. It's quite a thing to be here with you and talk. We thought it would be nice if you could just help us sort of build our confidence a little bit. We thought it might be nice if we would just start with 3 Sai Gayatris, if we could. Yeah. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, well, that was fantastic. How wonderful. We all sounded together. What unity. It was beautiful. In our journey, we have certainly found that praying together is really quite something. And the more we do, the more we get affirmed in how it transforms us. I'm going to stop talking because at this point, it's time for me to introduce the love of my life, along with Bob, of course. It's my beautiful wife, Rani. Saram,
everyone. My humble salutations to Swami's feet. This is my first time talking to such big crowds, so please forgive me if I make any mistake. I started my journey at age of 4, and so Swami came to Madras, and my mother took me when I was 4 years old, along with my grandma. We went to see Swami in, I don't know what building that was. I don't know if 72 Sundaram existed or not, but it was beautiful seeing Swami. And even till today, if I close my eyes, I can see that picture of Swami of my first darshan. That was incredible memory of him, seeing him, God, for the first time. And life went back to normal. My dad was very different person. He didn't believe in all these Babas and stuff, So he was a great Shirdi Baba devotee since 60s. And we continued on our life. Like, in India, we have so many neighbors with beautiful bhajans and stuff. So we would sneak away for bhajans and stuff. And Balvikas, we would do all that even before we fully got introduced to Swami. And in 79, my mom's brother just passed away suddenly. So she was very shocked and very depressed. She went into depression. And at that time, Swami came back into our life again. And she read a lot of Swami's books and was very, very, she got to the stage that she couldn't stay anymore without going to see Swami. It took a while. And she had this practice. I'm mentioning this story in detail because I've learned a couple lessons from that very tender age of 9 or 10. One of my sisters, she had a problem with her hand. So she would show the picture of Swami, and she would say to Swami, this girl, she's a girl, she needs to get married, and her hand doesn't work properly. So please help her. Was one prayer. And then she would sing this beautiful song that she's a playback singer. And so she makes tunes to beautiful songs. And then she was singing this beautiful song where it goes, Pata Bhava Ragatala Paramayoga Samadhilo. So it's like she would sing that song and she would cry because it's beautiful song that's where it touches your heart. And then she got a chance to go with a group from Vizag, and she got interviews, and Swami reiterated everything she said to the picture. So you said you prayed every day showing your daughter's hand, and you sing this song. It's like, he listens to us even through a picture. We may just think we're passing by a picture, but he's right there. Are we focusing on him? He gives us all the time signs, but are we there to receive? And that very beautiful thing, right? Be ever ready for a shot that God takes of us. So that's an incredible experience of his omnipresence and how he shows us that he is ever present. And from then on, then we all went to, my mom first went alone and she got several interviews, and she came back with so many beautiful stories that we all couldn't wait to go see Swami. So it was month of August, and we all did Lakshmi Puja, and Krishnashtami was coming, so we went for Krishnashtami to Patti. And Swami, we got row 1. Those days it was so easy to get row 1. You just go put your towel and you have your row 1, right? So it was beautiful time. we really enjoyed being there and occupying the first row because we're all kids. We ran and put our towels and we sat in row one every day. And my mom, Swami said, "Oh, you came again." And then my mom said, "Swami, this time I brought even my husband and children." So once a lady comes, she brings the whole family, right? And so Swami said, "Yeah, I'll call you." And then few days passed by. We were all crying. Swami didn't call. Swami didn't call. Morning darshan happens. Night darshan happens. And then one day, suddenly my dad appeared in veranda after evening darshan. And then the story was that Kudumbarao Garu went looking for my dad, saying, "Who is Sharma from Vizag?" And, marketing officer, all the details. And then he was called to the interview, and so obviously we all followed. Only 2 families got interviewed that day, P. Shushila and us. Swami spent very sweetly. First thing he said to my dad was, "It took you this long to come to me? Come and see me?" So he was a devotee from 60s, but didn't get to go and see him, So we can't go even though we know Swami unless he calls us too. So that's another beautiful story. Because my mom was a good singer and we were all always singing in the house, bhajans and different things. And Swami was he wanted to really make sure we understood that. And he said to my mom, "Your house is headquarters to me." Nobody asked him to say that. There are a lot of people who sing beautiful than us, but that was really, really a blessing for us to have that said to us. Well, we got several interviews in that trip. And then Sureka, she'll tell her own story in her words. But from there, we went back to Tuticorin, where we were. My dad was very involved in Sai organization, and he was doing lots of seva because we were getting into 60th birthday of Swami. And Lakshachanas, and in India, you can't just go as a group unless you really, really, really earn it. Everybody has to do 4 hours of seva every week for months together. You have to really show that you are somebody who is actually doing service for the service sake, not just to show up, to be there in party. So we got a chance to go as Sevadal, got selected to go as Sevadal for Swami's 60th birthday, which was, if you've been there, you know how that goes, right? Beautiful, beautiful darshans and a lot of seva and looking at Swami with the beautiful ratha when he comes and all that. The one message I really took home from that whole experience, I was 16 or 17 at that time, was he said, "When you serve someone, think they are my guest. Anybody who comes across in my name, they are the guest of me, so treat them well." So that was a big lesson I took and follow to this day to the best of my ability. And then we were in Tuticorin. My dad was retiring, and I was doing my first year of degree at that point. And it was either you leave and go, or you don't know whether you get into Swami's college, or, that was my end of my education. I was so scared. And then for BCom degree in India, is very, very popular degree. And 200,000 applications come for those kind of degrees. And hear me, I don't know, I was just going there, gave my entrance examination, and only 20 people out of the 200,000 are selected. And Baba check marks each one's if you go through that process, it's an incredible process of a lot of stress, and whether we get into it, because it's Swami who is doing it, he's like really giving you all of it, the experience and the opportunities. When actually, I want to get back at the time when we went to see serve as Sevadal in 60th birthday. For Akhanda, we were there, and public would be given a chance in middle of the night to sing at 12 o'clock. And so we went and sat, me and two other sisters of mine, and then they gave us a chance to sing. And all three of us were sitting and singing. And Swami used to live just above those days in Mandir. So he came out and he opened the window crack and looked at us, swayed with the bhajan. And that was good enough for me for the rest of my life if I didn't have to sing ever again. But that was incredible. Like, when you're young, you want Swami to approve of you. You want to show him, yes, I do this for you. I'm doing this for you. But he's giving us the chances, is the thing we forget. And then from then on, I got into Swami's college with his grace. And as you know, we get so many chances of whether it is dancing or motorbike feats or, different things you do, and then get a lot of opportunities in front of Swami. And from then on, I just finished my college. That's when his entry into Swami's thing was happening.
Right. So the first person in my family to fall head over heels in love with Baba was also my mother. We both our mothers started that process. My mom was on vacation in Spain, and she heard from a friend of hers about this incredible person, this phenomenon, this unbelievable thing, and she got a book. She read the book while on vacation, and while on vacation, she had a Baba dream. Baba came in the dream and said to her, "You must help me." So when that vacation ended, she went back to London, and within a few short months of discovering a Sai Baba center there, she got together with a small group of ladies and made her very first trip to India. This was now many years ago. When she arrived, this was about 5 years before the 70th birthday. When she arrived, they said to her, "You go to the shed. That's where you're going to sleep." Well, that could be for some people quite a daunting sort of transition to make from sort of what you're used to. But she took it in stride, and she saw the concrete and lay down. That was her spot. That wasn't going to throw her off. And she went to darshan, and the magical stories, these amazing stories of what was happening, the collective experience of Sai devotees that were Westerners or from India being shared all the time whilst in Prashanthi Nilayam, and also what was coming out of the interview room. Amazing, incredible stories, not just materializing a ring, which in and of itself is amazing, but other things. I mean, just extraordinary stuff. It was must have been for her just so deeply thrilling. And of course, she must have really thought, what an amazing thing it would be if I might get an interview and he might make me a ring. And so on that very first trip, she didn't get an interview, but she decided she'd go out into the village and buy herself a ring, because she was going to make sure she went back with a ring no matter what. And it was a good strategy. So she got herself a beautiful little ring for 2 rupees, and she wore it for her whole life. She cherished it. She loved it, had a beautiful big picture of Baba, absolutely loved it. What she didn't know on that trip was that in future trips, she would get interviews with Baba. It would be amazing already. That Baba would also make a ring for her with 9 diamonds. And also on another interview, he would materialize a solid gold necklace with a big pendant of Baba's face for her. So I remember when she came to California after that, how happy she was. It was no matter if I was some one person in her life that could drive her nuts, but no matter what I did on that trip, she was equanimity itself and very, very happy. So after about a couple trips to India in our family, my dad began to think, well, there's something going on here. And one of the pointers might have been that in every framed photograph of the house, there no longer was a family portrait, but it was a picture of Baba. That could have been a sign, just a small indicator that something was going on. So my dad enjoyed going on ski trips, going skiing in Europe, and he really wanted to go skiing for the holidays, but my mom twisted his arm, so we're not going skiing, we're going to go to Baba. And so he felt disappointed and a little bit upset about that, but he went along. Okay, I'm going to make the wife happy, and they arrived in the airport in Bangalore and jumped into an Ambassador, if you remember those cars, and made their long trip. That was in the days still when folks could get out on the road and they'd build like a barricade of rocks, and the car couldn't pass unless you maybe paid a few rupees. Well, my dad got to the first barricade in the car and said, well, this is ridiculous. Asked the taxi driver, please move the taxi driver said, I'm not moving those rocks. That I might get into trouble. So my dad had to climb out and remove all the rocks and clear the road so they could continue on their journey to Baba. Well, they drove only a little bit, and then there was another barricade with rocks. So then he got out again and he had to throw off all these rocks and bits of cactus and everything. There ended up being 5 different barricades on the road. And we always thought as a family afterwards, as we thought of his experience, that this was maybe some sort of final clearing through before he could get to see Baba. And he had to physically go out and work in the heat of the day, clearing the cactus pieces and the rocks and making a way for the car to go through. So they got there. And they did get an interview. And Baba asked my mom, what do you want? And my mom said, well, I'd like to be able to visit you as much as possible. And so that was about it for that interview. So they went back to England, and a telephone call came through for my dad, and his work, lo and behold, changed. And he was able to work in Chennai, just like that. And so they rented a nice home in Chennai, and my mom could visit Baba to her heart's content. So they were very, very happy. I know that in one of the trips to Baba, my mom held up a picture of me in darshan, and Baba walked past, and she always thought that was possibly where things started to pick up on my side. We don't know. You may have read the books of Pathways to God with Jonathan Roof, and he talks about going through life being awake or going through life asleep. And I was a young man at that time, and I can say I was certainly going through life fast asleep, enjoying the material world and thinking, oh, that's what it was. What else was there? Anyway, so that was me going through life asleep. But now we go back to the exciting life of Rani in India.
While he was doing all that,
yes,
I was just finished my degree, and I was waiting, when the hospital is being built and we don't know what's going to happen. All the students are, slowly brought in. And one day there were bhajans happening, and suddenly Swami stopped the bhajans. And Anil Kumar uncle came and announced, anybody who is interested in becoming nurse, please go to office and put an application. And we all put in application, whole ton of us. And a couple days after, a knock at the door at 8:30, around 8:30 at night, saying, please be there after bhajans tomorrow. Swami wants to talk to all the applicants. So there we go, huge anticipation. Swami is addressing the whole bunch of us, so it's really, really exciting, at the same time scary. And then we go, and then Swami beautifully, all of us are men's side, women's side, it was all women for some reason. So all of us sat, and Swami was addressing how he's bringing people from AIMS and, Delhi, people to train us and open a nursing school, and, telling us how much work it is to be a nurse. And doctors just cut and put the patient. You are the ones who are going to heal them back to, he knows how to get you, right? So all that, we were like, oh, yes, Swami, we'll do anything for you, Swami. And then all that. And some people, he said, visa problems, too overqualified. And that was that. And then again, there were set of interviews. With Swami, there are several interviews before you get to the final, proper professional interviews. And then we got through those. And again, out of 250 or 300 that came for that day interview, only 20 were selected. Yet again, he checked each one of our names for that. So I've been incredibly lucky that way that he chose me for nursing school. And as each department kept opening, I got each time a chance to be part of the new, department. And I can't believe that I was working in a kidney transplant unit. And I was sent for a special training because handling of the patient is a little different there. And so all that, how serious it is of an operation. So we needed to understand that. We got only trained for a year. So it wasn't like we were a 4-year, proper nursing. So it was important to know everything to, what it is to take care of a post-transplant patient. And I can't believe Swami was in the same room where I was working and wiping every tile of those transplant ICU, because transplant patients have to be like in a fumigated rooms when they brought in after operations. So that was an incredible journey in itself. And I can go on and on about that, but I know due to shortage of time, I think we have 15 more minutes left, right?
15?
Yeah. So, well, anyway, I was doing all that with Swami. Then one fine day, this man shows up and my life changes.
Oh, goodness me. Well, so she was saving humanity in the hospital, and Baba would sometimes come by and she'd have a personal darshan there in the hospital just with Baba, and they'd both be there with a team of doctors. Really exciting. And I was living in Santa Barbara in blissful ignorance, and just the material world when you're young really feels like that's it. That's what you want, and that's all there is, and there's nothing else more important. And it's a very beautiful, elegant illusion that you only see perhaps later on in life as being a spectacular illusion. But the sooner you figure that out, the better and the faster you move forward. But anyway, I was certainly fast asleep in the material world. So Baba had to do something that would wake me up and make me say, hey, there's something going on here, and it's not about me, or it's not about the material world. There's something much bigger. And so I had a Baba dream, and in this dream, I got to experience the golden light of love of God. That's the best way I can describe it. It's many years ago now, but it is as fresh in my mind as it was then. It was being immersed in golden light, feeling love like I've never felt before, a feeling so intense that anything that wasn't that was just nothing, was not worth it. And what he did was he let me get into this, be immersed in this golden light, and then he'd pull it back a little bit so I could see the difference. And then he'd let me feel it again, and then pull it back. That happened 3 times. I won't go into the whole dream just for the short, we have not too much time. But the key thing was this experience, this intense experience of seeing and feeling this golden light of love, of God. And so I know then, well, there's nothing to fear. We may have our bodies temporarily, and we may throw them off when we're done. If we're going back to that, well, we should be very, very happy. There's nothing to worry about. And even with such a powerful experience, it still took me some time to wake up. But wake up I did, and started going to the Sai Baba Center of Santa Barbara. And there were senior devotees who had been with Baba for a long time. And so for myself and another young fellow that was on this journey of spirituality with me, his name was Martin Wagner. Some of you may know him. He's the president of the Hollywood Center. We both were actually bachelors living in Santa Barbara together at the time. Both discovered then Baba at the same time. It was a powerful thing to discover God with a good buddy and go, wow, this is God. And how could this be? This is amazing, this phenomenon. And so then we went to the Santa Barbara Center and had more and more experiences and discovered the meaning of seva and of sadhana, and just immersed ourselves very, very deeply in those sorts of things. Then there came a dream that I had. I was now, I think, in my early 30s. And in this dream, I stood in front of Baba. Baba sat in a fabulous throne, massive chair that he looked very majestic, the king of the universe. And I stood below looking up at him, and my mother was next to me. And my mother said to Baba, "Baba, I have a very nice girl that I'd like Greg to marry." And Baba looked down from his throne very seriously at the two of us, and looking straight at me, he said, "No, no, I have the perfect person, and she's right here with me." So waking up from that dream, at this point, I already knew, okay, I knew how it goes with dreams. I'd heard all the stories from so many, Western devotees and folks that had gone to India at that point, and how it works with dreams and giving a letter to Baba and all that. I'd got it all figured out. So I thought, okay, that's it. Well, he's taking care of that, and I don't have to worry about this. So no worries there. And then 2 years went by, and I was okay with it. I was just, it'll happen when he's got it under control. And that came then the very first World Conference for young adults at that point. And I was right on the sort of end of being a young adult at the age of 32. But everyone said, no, you've got to go, and we've got to go. This is history in the making. This is historic. The very first, we've got to go. And so we prepared ourselves that we had to go. And I was told, as one of the older fellows, that I should probably hold everybody's passport so they didn't lose them on the trip. So I bought a special box for carrying these passports with a big handle. And I thought, I'm prepared and I'm professional, and I'm taking this seriously. I'm going to really take care of everyone's passports for them. But I'm just jumping ahead a little bit. So just remember that, me and my box for the passports. But 2 weeks before getting to India, I got a phone call from a very wonderful Sai devotee who had run a Sai center in her home for many, many years. Her name was Sureka Vasant. And she said, and I'd known her very well, and she said, I'm already here in Puttaparthi, and because our family lives in Puttaparthi, and visiting the family and visiting Baba. And I sat in darshan. And you won't believe this, but I wrote a letter, and it said, it'd be really nice if you married my sister. And Baba came by and took the letter. And I thought, okay, so that's it. That's how this is going to go. So I thought, well, that's probably it then. That has to be, because I knew how these things work. When Baba takes a letter, that's it. That's my whole thing at that time. So anyways, and then I'm at LAX with this massive group of young adults and my box ready for everyone's passports. And interestingly, at that point, other young adult leaders seemed to come forward, and my empty box was no longer needed, and they decided they'd all keep their passports themselves. And one young adult said, but Greg, if you could help me, he pulled out with him a big roll of toilet paper, and he gave me this roll of toilet paper and said, can you just carry this for me? So I carried in my plastic box a very large roll of toilet paper from LAX to Chennai. And this might have been a small sign that maybe I wasn't going just for the young adult conference, but going for something a little more meaningful than the young adult conference, which was meaningful and wonderful, but I was no longer kind of part of the group anymore. I was off for something else. So we get to India, and the very first darshan, in fact,
what happened at the accommodation? What happened?
What happened to the accommodation?
When you got there?
Oh, well, so yeah, then we arrive at the ashram, and they say, sorry, we're full, and there's no place for you guys to stay. And I thought, oh, that's a classic. Oh, thank you, right. So that's, gosh, that's quite a bit of an upheaval. Like, what does this mean? And so everyone, while this was all going on, and the accommodations office telling us, you got nowhere to go, we're full, sorry, boys, you're going to have to get out. We had all our luggage with us. At this point, while we had all our luggage with us, everyone, unbeknownst to us, had already got, when I say everyone, the entire content of the whole Prashanthi Nilayam was sitting for darshan at this point, and we were stuck with our suitcases. So we were walking past the Kulwant Hall, through the sand, very dejected, about 5 of us dragging our suitcases through the sand, thinking, gosh, this is just the worst. How could it go like this? We went all this way Now we're missing darshan. We've got nowhere to stay. We can't be in here. I've got my roll of toilet paper. I mean, this is getting worse and worse. How does that go like that? So, of course, the Lord of the universe knows. He designed it all. So he, despite having 20,000 people, which at that time was what the Kulwant Hall could seat, he came out of the Kulwant Hall, leaving the 20,000 people there, and stood by these open gates so that the 5 little boys with their suitcases, who were feeling very dejected, could get a darshan. And then he put his hands up, and we said Sairam. It was really powerful, really amazing. So then that night we stayed at a little hotel in the main street outside the Ganesha Gate called the Chaitanya, which we thought was cool. We'd brought with us very high-tech camping gear. We were ready for anything. And then that morning we went in for darshan, and we got row 1, which again is, for me, I'd made many trips, and a row 1 was a big deal. I would be in row 5,000 in the back, and that was very, very normal. And in fact, in one trip, it was actually New Year's Day. It's like tomorrow coming. And I was there, and I had darshan, and I thought, my God, Baba, this is New Year's Day. So if I get row 1, this will be like a special sign that you're going to be with me all year long. It's going to be fantastic. Like, please, can I have row 1? So when I got in to get my seat in darshan, I didn't get row 1. I got many rows back behind a pillar, and I couldn't see anything. And I was so frustrated. I thought, I can't believe this. And then these 3 words in my head, I heard these 3 words: distance, not important. And so, okay, thank you very much. So I have my work to do. But anyway, I'm going to go back to, where was I? I'm so sorry.
No, then you got your row 1 next
Oh, yeah,
day.
so we got row 1. So I'm sitting in row 1 on the very first day, I believe, of the Young Adults World Conference. And I thought, well, this is my chance. I'd heard all the stories from everyone about how you might be able to give a letter to Baba, and that if there was ever a time, then this was it. I had no paper, I had no pen, I had nothing, I wasn't ready. So there was one guy on this side, I got a small scrap of paper from him. A guy from this side gave me a very small pencil. It was really small. And so then I took the paper and I said, Baba, do you want me to marry this person's sister? Is this the perfect person that you told me about in the dream? And if you take this letter, then I know that it is, and that's it. Then I'm going to ask her to marry me, and that's that. So then I folded it up, and I thought he's probably not going to, until this point, he'd always done this amazing thing that if I did get so lucky as to be in row 1, that he wouldn't look at me, and he'd always look over my head. It's an amazing thing. I found out later it took much more work to look not at someone than at someone. So he knew I was there. Anyway, so I had my little note. And Baba came, and the twinkling music, and my heart started beating. And my gosh, this is getting. He was getting closer and closer. And about 20 feet away, he paused and looked at me. And I thought, oh gosh, here it is. He's coming. And then he came slowly, and he took the letter out of my hand. And I think there's a picture of that you might have seen on the flyer. That was my one shot there, being with Baba. Just amazing. And he took the letter, and I said thank you inside, and I thought, gosh, okay, so that's what that means. It's, you can talk the talk, but now you have to walk the walk. And I'm going to marry someone that I've never met before in my life, and that's it. I promised it, and that's what has to happen. So darshan ended, and I walked out. It was a sea of humanity, 20,000 people all looking for their chapels. And I was trying to, make my own way and try and find my own chapels. And in all that sea of humanity, I actually bumped into the one person who had played a big role in organizing this, which was Sureka from the center in Ventura. I said, well, you're not going to believe this. First of bumping into you is amazing, but you're not going to believe that I just got row 1, which is amazing. And then Baba took a letter saying, I should marry your sister. And so she said, well, that's interesting. And so we then made our way out of the Ganesha Gates, and I was re-explaining I had arrived very late at night the night before. I was having, in those days I had hair, and it was a bit of a bad hair day, sort of a thing that was going up. And so not looking my best, but I'm walking down the street anyway, doing my best. And she said, well, you're not going to believe this, but my sister's actually walking right behind you. So I thought, oh, that's great. Okay, so here I am with my bad hair day. So I had to take a look over my shoulder, and there she was with some jasmine in her hair and wearing a sari. I don't know. I think we're probably there. Are we?
Yeah.
Did we just get to the? We're there. So when we should follow discipline and keep everything on track, and we should say Sai Ram. We started a center in our home. She has taught me all about sadhana and the power of it, and
Swami did, not I.
it was
Swami
all,
is training,
all
right?
organized.
Swami trains all of us.
Yes.
So thank you all
Yes,
so much for giving us this opportunity.